Relationship between genetics and obesity. Obesity is a complex chronic medical condition that is a result of accretion of excess fat. It is a multifactorial disease that increases your risk of other diseases and health problems. Usually people mislead obesity to being overweight. It is different from being overweight, which means weighing too much. It is usually a result of accretion of excess calorie, due to environment, and comparable physical inactivity are modulated by predisposed genotype. Usually in most of the cases, people suffering from obesity-like disease have multiple genes that makes them susceptible to gain excess weight. Thus, to think that genetics has a major role to play in obesity is not that surprising given that it occurs in many families. As per the data collected from a meta-analysis, it has been visualized that about 50% of changes in body mass index (BMI) are accountable to the genetic differences. Familial studies have shown that body mass index is highly correlated to parental obesity. Children whose both parents are obese have more chances of being obese. It has been observed that these include genes encoding peptides targeted to transmit hunger and satiety signals, genes involved in adipocyte growth and differentiation, and genes involved in energy expenditure control. Researchers working upon genome studies have discovered the first obesity-associated gene variants on chromosome 16 in the fat mass and obesity-associated FTO gene. Chromosome 16 in the fat mass and obesity-associated FTO gene. This type of gene variants are very common, and thus it is found that a person having FTO gene variant have more chances of being obese. The presence of this gene leads to increased hunger level, reduced satiety, reduced controlled overeating, and increased tendency to store body fat. It has been discovered that genetic obesity could occur either due to mutation in a single gene, i.e. monogenic obesity, which is rare form, or it could be due to mutations in multiple genes, which is common obesity. Monogenetic obesity is usually non-syndromic and affects 5% of population. The major parts of these mutations have been identified: leptin receptor (LEPR), melanocortin 4 receptor MC4R, propio-melanocortin pathway, and obese phenotype. The other form is the common obesity, where there are multiple mutations and where environment favors weight gain due to accumulation of food and lack of physical activity. During past years, there has been a major development in terms of technology and genomic study which has helped in obesity, enhancing our knowledge on genetic basis of obesity. Genome-wide association studies (GWAS) for body mass index and other adiposity traits have identified more than 300 single nucleotide polymorphisms. These studies have shown that genes near loci regulating total body mass are expressed in CNS, whereas those for fat distribution are expressed in adipose tissue itself. It has been found that the increasing rate of obesity in environment might lead to an increased genetic risk for obesity. This risk can be avoided by increasing physical activity and by avoiding some dietary components. Several studies have shown more than 97 to 100 BMI-associated loci, out of which, using genome-wide association approach, it was found that fifth locus was fat mass and obesity-associated genome. Now, the question arises that does genes control energy balance? And is this related to obesity level? The food intake is regulated by our brain. The brain receives signals from adipose tissue, pancreas, and digestive tract and respond to it. Signals travel by means of hormones such as leptin, insulin, and ghrelin. Brain then coordinates these signals and respond with giving instructions to our body such to eat more and reduce energy use to do opposite. Genes are responsible for all these signals and responses, and thus change in these genes can affect level of activity. As per a hypothesis by some researchers, it has been suggested that same genes that earlier helped ancestors survive in famines are now being challenged by environments in which food is plentiful year-round.